All right, good evening. Welcome to the June 17th, 2019 meeting of the MSAD51 Board of Directors. So our first item for action is approving the minutes from the June 3rd, 2019 meeting. Do I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? And the next item is a very bittersweet, hard thing for us to do. We are saying goodbye to two outstanding board members this evening who have really contributed immensely to our board. So first, I would like to thank you, Gigi. You were over there. You always move around on me.
I know. I never know where I am.
Thank you for your work and your legal expertise. You've just contributed. I think that there are buildings that exist that wouldn't exist if it wasn't for your work. I think last year's budget, I'm not sure it would have passed without your work. So you've really just done a lot for our board, and I'm going to miss you dearly, and I'm going to miss your guidance and your thoughts, and I'm sure other people are going to miss you as much as I do. Does anyone have anything to add?
I'll just second what Kate says. I've learned so much, from both of you, but the guidance that you guys have, your level-headedness, your devil advocate, and just keeping the school and our children first is just amazing. So I will miss both of you, and thank you.
I'll say something for both of you. It's really on a personal, all the things that Kate and Sarah just said, but on a personal note, it's really intimidating becoming a new board member. Especially when education is not your primary career. And so for both of you have made lots of efforts to check in with me and talk to me just on a regular everyday basis. And I really appreciate that. It's given me the confidence to continue to do this type of work.
And Gigi, I have a lot to say, but I would prefer to do it off the air.
Right back at you.
I'll just add that for Gigi, I just want to say I think you're the last board member that's on the board since I've been hired. So I just want to thank you for being on the board all these years, and really appreciate all your contributions to the district. You'll be missed.
And next, we also have to recognize our other outgoing board member, Mr. Brown. And Mike, I think what I feel so acutely about you leaving the board right now is I feel that you had a lot of good work still left to do, and you were at the point where you weren't quite as burnt out as maybe some other people were. You have some really big shoes for the next person stepping into your seat to fill. And I think the facilities expertise that you brought to the table, I'm not sure that was just such a huge value added for our board and for our community. So. And I am going to miss you, and thank you for always taking my call, even when you could hear me screeching a foot away from your ear.
It's hard to see the number with the sun.
Yeah, I'll do what my colleagues did and combine my sentiments and certainly say, Gigi, it's been spectacular to have the opportunity to learn from you over the past 3 years, and your guidance and insight is just fantastic in the way that you serve this district. Mike, exactly what Kate said, the willingness to engage at any level with any group of people and those things that folks in the community don't get to see, the walking the halls, the seeing things that could be different, and the willingness to step forward in that. This district benefited greatly with your leadership over facilities, and I hope that there's a committee formed someplace that you're able to come in and offer free help on.
And to say thank you, we have a
Can I interrupt you? I know I double dip. I know, Mike, I said I wouldn't, but I gotta. I'm gonna, Mike and I served a lot on both facilities and just roads. And, Mike, you always brought me back from the brink. And you just gave me great insight, and it has been an absolute honor to serve with you. And I think, you have this incredible magnet or personal North Star of finding a really good position that accommodates different views, but leads us in the right direction. And so I wasn't joking when I said I look forward to seeing you in public comment, and we can meet. We're not a part of a quorum or anything like that anymore, but I have been honored to serve with you, and I've been honored to serve with each and every one of you. I'm excited to see where we go. We are stronger if we focus on what goes on in the classroom and the kids. And Mike, you have helped me in every single way, and Kate, it's been a pleasure serving on your board. So go forth, guys, Godspeed, and you should be all very proud of yourself, because I am, certainly.
I'd just also like to thank Mike for everything that you have guided, provided a lot of guidance to me over the years as well on a variety of topics, and I really appreciate conversations and all of your committee work behind the scenes as well. So thank you, Mike. You'll be missed.
Would you like to say anything?
I don't really have a prepared speech.
No, I didn't either.
As reality superstar Jeff Probst used to say, the tribe has spoken, and looking forward to new opportunities.
Well, thank you both. We have some very flashy Greeley gear for you guys.
I love Greeley.
We hope to see you around town sporting it.
Oh, you know I
Even in
will.
public comment.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that's required.
I was going.
Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you, Gigi, and thank you, Mike, again. This is a little bittersweet, but I hope you enjoy your Monday evenings.
Ciao.
All right, so next we have a program and curriculum highlight presentation from Ashley Caswell, our Development and Community Resources Director, or,
Close enough.
okay.
Good evening. I am excited to be here today to kind of update you all on work that we've been doing for the past year and a half, I think it's been, since I've been to the board. So some of this is not 1 year old, but a year and a half. I'd like to bring you guys up to date on our communications. This year we moved to a weekly district newsletter in which we combined all of our postings from the district level and community information into one weekly newsletter. This includes information from the superintendent, from the board, information about our budget, community partners, and community notices. I was recently asked how our open rates were, and compared to industry standard for education is 21%, and we're actually currently in 28 to 40%, depending on which school you look at or which communication you're looking at. So across all industries is actually 25, so no matter which way you look at it, we're still doing pretty good on our communication. And we recently completed the stakeholder surveys for student, staff, and parent. And I think you guys will be getting that information in your July or August board meeting. One new program that we've been working on, which is really Tyler's kind of idea, was a program called Faces of Greeley. And the concept was really just to humanize the district. We are all about our students, we're all about our staff, and let's highlight that and show the great work that we do here on a regular basis. So we were looking initially to engage about 30 people from our various stakeholder groups, parents, staff, students. And we actually had over 70 that took part in the first year of Faces of Greeley. And while people were getting photographed, we also did a quick Q&A, asking them various questions, what their hidden gem is about Greeley, one word to describe Greeley, and we got some really great responses, which I'm going to share with you in just a moment. But I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge our amazing photographer, who is also a staff member here at the district, Siobhan Bogle, who is our special ed life skills teacher at Fort 8. She also owns Maine Tinker Photography, so all of the photos are her, and she's a rock star. So this family is the Brown family. They've got 3 kiddos in the district, and they were really talking about how their daughter and their 2 regular ed, 1 is special needs and 2 are regular ed children, and the community really goes above and beyond for each child to reach their full potential, whether they're special needs or regular ed. They have found their way in various aspects through Greeley. And then we get the cute comments, like, I love it when Mrs. White does doodles on my planner. I believe that was asked her favorite thing that she liked about school. This is Jason Loriviere. He's a science teacher at GMS 68, and he really talked about identifying students, both in IEP 504 and RTI, and really helping them get the services early on to help close the gap prior to getting to high school. This is our very own Carol MacArthur, principal of 4-5, and she talked about her favorite part of the day being when students arrive. She's there in the entryway saying hi when they start their school day. And this one ties to another aspect of our strategic plan, talking about how Greeley is good at balancing academics and sports. This student happens to be an 8th grader heading to high school next year. The medal around his neck is from National History Day, and he also plays on the golf team along with some other sports, but those were his props that he chose to bring. And then this is Kate Weber. She's in the class of 2026 in the FLS room, and we asked just one question about Greeley, and she just said hi. Moving on to, you'll see actually quite a bit of Faces of Greeley moving forward. We're working on an opening day presentation, another little, not little, it's going to be a large display come the opening of school. And then it was also in the Ranger Connection recently that went out. Talking about celebrating our staff, we hosted our 3rd annual teacher celebration. It's for those staff that are moving from a probationary teacher contract to a continuing contract with the district in their 3rd year. The end of year celebration was redesigned in 2017. It used to host about 100 people at Valhalla. It was moved to the Greeley Center for the Arts this year, and all of our staff is invited. So 350 staff members roughly attend of the 400 that we have. We have hors d'oeuvres. We actually have the faculty band. The faculties is their name that they play during the social time. And then we're really honoring our staff and recognizing our retirees. Our employee recognition program, Anne's not here, but Anne served on the committee this year, and it's in its 4th year. We received over 60 nominations, and we were excited to announce that Eliza Miller, who is a special ed tech at the high school, was announced as the Employee of the Year this year. Moving on to the Greeley Center for the Arts. Building of the GCA, during the building, we actually brought different groups through to tour. Ledgewood actually went to classrooms and visited with classrooms from kindergarten all the way up to seniors. And probably my favorite part was touring the facility while the concrete was being toured with 80 high school math students. And then we did a presentation afterwards to them about the different mathematical things that happened, and there was 3 different problems that they had to solve based off of the actual blueprint of the building. The Brick and Seat campaign is still going. Currently, we've raised just shy of $60,000 for just the bricks and seats. We've sold 276 bricks, and we have another 77 to order. And we've sold 76 seats. 21 of those are still needing to be placed. We will place those this summer. July 1st will be our deadline to order for this year. We are almost sold out of front row seats. So of those 76 seats, most of them are actually front row. percentage-wise. And then Foundation 51 actually underwrote the display case that's out there that hosts students' 3D artwork and various trophies. So a total raised right now is $74,951. And then this is funding since since the development plan was approved back in 2015. We have STEM funding, athletic advertising. Athletic advertising continues to be an income source. In-kind support would be different items that have been donated. Various grant funding is a very broad range. Most recently, we had a donation come in from an anonymous donor to help families in need in the district. We have also had money come in recently to help pay down lunch bills for some of our families. The in-kind time is calculated off of the national volunteer rate, which is an annual number that's given. This year it's at $24.69 an hour. And then our Brick and Seek campaign that we just reviewed. Any questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Not a question. It is spectacular to see you standing up and making a presentation, because most of the time you've done all of the work for something to occur, and you sit there quietly, not probably getting the accolades that you ought to for the work that you do. And Ashley, I've gotten the chance to see how you operate, the way that you the way that you're able to put together a vision and then make it happen. And I think that the work you've been doing is invaluable. And the more that this people in the community can understand what the net result of your work is, I think it's fantastic. Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you, Kevin.
I just wanted to say thanks for doing Faces of Greeley. Like, the second we brought that up, you were super on board, and there were a couple times Margot and I were in your office, like, designing over your shoulder while you were on your computer, and you just rolled with it, and it was such a fun project, and I hope we get a chance to do more of it. So thank you so much it was so great to work with you.
Thanks. It was a really fun project.
Yeah.
And you know, I remember when this position, before you fortunately crossed our horizon, just negotiating for this position, and it was I think it actually might have met, we called them unmet needs. They've not been on twice for like 2 years, and we got it. And you've it's a wonderful thing, because you've really fulfilled that. And I applaud you. You are everywhere I go. Ashley's doing, okay, Ashley. So, and you do it with grace, and you do it with a smile, and you do it with effectiveness. And I'm very, very grateful, not only for your service every day, but also for recognizing what we all saw as promise. And so, thank you.
Thanks.
No, I'm basically, Ashley just pretty much takes on all kinds of projects. I mean, I'm always giving her something to do. I think I gave you a new project last week to start working on. So there are a lot of needs in the district, and quite frankly, Ashley fills a lot of those needs. So I think we're very fortunate to have this position in our district.
And one thing I just wanted to share, Ashley, is I found what you've done with our district communications to be super effective. Like when I had a kindergartner that started before, we had reworked all the communications, the snow delays, and I remember waiting for a bus one day, and, just things seemed a little disjointed. So I think what you've done through your central office work has really just tightened up those communications. We're not getting 36 emails in a day. It's great work, and I've heard it from the community as well. So specifically, thank you for that.
Great.
And thank you for coming and giving us an update, because we see you everywhere, and yet it's hard to get into detail about exactly, what you're doing day to day.
Which changes day to day.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ashley.
And so next we have Julie Olson, and she will give us our instructional support annual update.
Great. Well, thank you, everybody. Hard act to follow.
So this evening I really chose to focus on 4 areas, and then I have a little video clip at the end, which I promise you is incredibly heartwarming. It's only just over 2 minutes and will probably be the best part of your night. So I really want to talk about the instructional support department and how it's aligned to our strategic plan, the department vision, which some of you have heard before and will continue to sort of hear as we march forward, and then give you a recap of sort of where we are now and then moving forward in the years to come and what that looks like. So if you look at the 4 areas of the strategic plan, which I've placed in blue there, what I tried to do is really just highlight the areas that instructional support really mostly falls under in those areas. I think that instructional support weaves in and out in all areas, but really a lot of our energy focuses on the mental health and substance abuse areas of the wellness plan. Under Every Student College and Career Ready, right now the focus is really on getting our pre-K up and going and having that be that 50-50 integrated pre-K. Skills for 21st Century, really looking at collective advocacy, response to intervention, and literacy are the areas that instructional support most closely aligns. And then early childhood education, really looking at extending learning opportunities at the high school and how to best branch out for our students. So my intent was to just give a snapshot of how the district work and instructional support complements one another. So my vision, which I think you guys have heard me say before, and I will continue marching, I feel very passionately that as a department, we need to make sure that all of our students get whatever they need, regardless of what plan or piece of paper they fall under. And for some students, that may not be a plan or a piece of paper, right? But I want to ensure that we have the creativity and the resources and the thoughtfulness to meet the needs of our students. And we've cliched the term non-categorical for that, to make sure that it doesn't really matter what category you fall in, you get what you need, and that we're not going to hold it to you have to get through the golden gates of special education to get resources. So over the past few years and through these annual updates, I know folks have heard, we have really made a lot of staffing and programmatic changes based on this vision. And my intent is to continue to make those changes based on who enters our district and what their needs are. We've looked at different programs in our schools. We've looked at different service delivery models. We have more certified teachers working with our students on a day-to-day basis. And that really is the umbrella vision of, as we think about our students and their needs, how do we best meet them in MSAD51? So I have an overarching recap and then specific to each school, some recaps moving forward. So overarching, our delivery service models change every year, just slightly. Sometimes we have big overhauls depending on student needs and where students are. Sometimes there are slight tweaks. They also can change mid-year or monthly depending on student needs. So if we have a new student move in or a new student who's identified, we really have to look differently at our resources to meet those needs. We really lifted co-teaching, as you know, last year at our 6 through 8 level, and we've now expanded that to 4-8, as well as the high school. So we have that happening grades 4 through 12, and the intent is really to start some co-teaching next year at MIW as well. MIW has the Learning Lab, which I think some of you have had an opportunity to tour, and if you haven't, go. It's like really awesome. When you walk into there, there are kids and there are staff, and people are grouped accordingly, and they group and they regroup, and it's really just about non-categorical supports to help students, and really has come a long way since we began to envision it and have learned along with some bumps. We also have a more seamless approach to special education identification. We really have, over the last few years, tightened our expectations that K-12, we are identifying students consistently, following the regulations, and ensuring that our students who qualify really require IEP services, and those that who don't get something else that they need, but it doesn't necessarily need to be under an IEP. 504s are much more consistently in place. I think that last year I was still struggling with some of our medical 504s and getting them in place. We are now solidly can say we had another initial referral today on the last full day of school, but we are solidly underway. We have 140 academic and 143 medical 504s in district. I sort of always get asked that number. So 283 total as of today, and we have 303 special education students as of today. We spent a lot of work as an administrative team this year looking at our truancy forms and communication to parents. We had very inconsistent messaging, K-12 to parents, for truancy, and we've been tightening that process, and there is still work to be done in that area. We have our full-time doctoral level psychologist on staff this year, and that's been very helpful and a great resource to our staff. We have our K-12 mental health specialist who also does all of our risk assessments, and he's been a real asset, and that was a nice programmatic change to bring that position in. And I think I've had a few staff and administrators and parents sort of wonder how we ever did without this position, and I feel that way also. It feels like Eric Brown has been here a long time and has done a lot of great work for us. We formed a K-12 crisis committee to really look at having our specialists and some administrators sit together 6 times a year and really just think tank and staff some of our most involved students so that we had an opportunity to bounce around ideas and think differently and more creatively about how to meet their needs. And we've been really looking at a focus of RTI behavior. So we've done a lot of work in literacy and math and less work in behavior over the years. And this year there was a much higher focus on our RTI behavior work. So the next 4 slides are specific to each of the schools. And I really worked with the building principals to come up with what did we want to highlight for instructional support. There's a lot in each school, so tried to do a blurb. But this year, MIW really focused on their non-categorical behavioral support. So special education and RTI, regular ed, co-taught some social thinking groups. And this allowed for larger groups, so our students could actually practice the skills around social pragmatics and social thinking rather than working one-on-one or two-on-one with a teacher. That also allowed teachers to be talking a common language with students as they re-entered the classroom and using some of the same terms from some of the social thinking curriculum. Additionally, they're really looking forth to doing some specific periods of co-teaching next year. We're not going to have any full classrooms, but we're going to have some content areas co-taught. In grades 4-5, they piloted co-teaching in 2 4th grade classrooms, one with ELA and one with math. The teachers really explored various research-based strategies, and they saw student growth across all the different profiles of learners. I saw teacher growth across the teachers who were all involved as well. They really built their capacity in meeting the needs of all our different learners. And then specifically our literacy specialist, Angela Campbell at 4-5, spent some time getting trained in real specific programs so that she could assist our regular ed learners that didn't qualify for special education service and really focus on those foundational literacy skills. And then she was able to provide targeted intervention and regular progress monitoring for our students in regular education who were struggling. 6 through 8 continued to build their co-teaching model, so they're a little ahead of some of the other schools in terms of co-teaching. There were 5 co-taught classes this year, ELA at all 3 grade levels, and then math at just grades 6 and 7. Professional development for all teachers in the areas of co-teaching was really spent a lot of time and devoted some common planning time to that. The data indicated that 65% of the students who participated in co-taught ELA across the 3 grade levels either met their growth target on our iReady or their stretch growth target. So the growth target is 1 year's growth, and their stretch growth is starting to close that gap larger than 1 year. So that's pretty substantial data. Some people were sort of more than exceeding their target in double digits, which was nice. I have spreadsheets about it, but I didn't think we wanted to get bogged down in that. We have less data around math to report just because it's 2 grade levels and a much newer co-taught. We had more in the 30% range of students who had met their growth or stretch growth target, and certainly are looking forth to expanding that data over a couple of years as we track it. High school really continued some success with non-categorical co-teaching in the areas of math and English 11, and this year had the opportunity, given our new hire that we had, to do some non-categorical behavioral programming, so special education and regular ed accessing behavioral support here, and it's something that we're really looking forth to continuing to develop and refine at the high school level. And then I think I'd be remiss not to mention some really meaningful internships, which Dan Westhoven came and did a presentation to you on, but certainly helping support our students in the IEP realm to transition into post-secondary or college and career ready pieces. So moving forward, going to continue to develop programs at each grade level that meet our students' needs and whomever our population. Really continue to be creative around our vision for staff and administration and tweak any program that's necessary to meet our individual student needs. And then really continue professional development with all staff around co-teaching, differentiated practices, targeted interventions, so that we are really individualizing for our students' profiles. Additionally, we're going to have our pre-K next year. We've done our screening. We have our students. It's going to be a 50-50 classroom with students on IEPs as well as regular education. We'll have co-teaching in some form or another at all of the buildings. Our non-categorical supports are just continuing to grow and meet students' needs. We'll really, hopefully next year, be looking specifically at writing and math professional development and implementation, as well as a really clear literacy program that's built out of the literacy audit that Sally Laughlin has been doing this year, and then really looking at RTI behavior interventions for tier 1 and 2 and how to best support the classroom in the areas of positive behavioral supports. So here's my video. And this was actually a video that Cromwell Center came in and did, but it speaks really strongly to the power of non-categorical programming. And I think it speaks for itself, but I'll tie it up at the end. Ooh, sorry. But it really, if you guys have seen this, I apologize for anybody who's going to sit back through it, but it's a very powerful show of how when you partner a regular and special education student, what can happen.
Oh God, look, that's Andy. He looks so cute.
Peyton Brown and Ava Williams are navigating the world of middle school, finding humor along the way.
Peyton's just super sweet, and I love talking to her. As we have established, she's a nice chatty girl. Oh, don't say it. Really funny. Yep, I sure am.
Peyton is 13. She has autism and Williams syndrome. Ava is 12 and one of Peyton's good friends.
I like your smiling face. Oh, I love your smile too, Peyton. P-Dog. Yeah, P-Dog. I love your smile too, P-Dog.
Left out of a group, a game, an activity.
It's the kind of friendship teacher Colleen Flynn hopes to inspire in this classroom of 5th graders at the Durham Community School. A retired classroom teacher, Colleen now delivers the Cromwell Center for Disabilities Awareness Program to students all across Maine.
Yes, it's the Cromwell Center for Disabilities Awareness, but we're really talking about everyone. It's really for everyone. Because people with disabilities want to be treated like everyone else. We're all part of the human family.
Kids are really...
This year, the Cromwell Center will visit 16,000 students in 900 classrooms. The demand for the free of charge program continues to grow. Waitlists have reached as high as 2,500 students. The Cromwell Center needs additional funding to meet the need.
Lucy. Autism.
The Cromwell Center returns to schools each year with an integrated program that grows with the students and asks them to think about who they are and how they treat other people.
And we talk about how, the damage that is done by bullying other people, and that it sticks with you. You can take back your words, but you can't take back the hurt.
Draw a square in the middle of the page.
A simple drawing exercise offers unexpected results and insight.
Cool. I was the only one who drew it like that.
Everyone's brain works differently. Cole, hit the nail on the head.
Ava, look.
They are lessons that Ava and Peyton learned in elementary school and took to heart.
And sometimes I get scared when my family loves me. I'm different, but that's okay.
Not only is it okay, it's celebrated.
I think my life is so much brighter and happier with Peyton in it. So glad. She makes giggles and all I like to do is be able to be a part of this, and it really brings a happiness to me.
Right? What could be better than them explaining why we should do non-categorical supports, and not just in the areas of academics, but certainly in the areas of social, emotional, behavioral, social pragmatics. So any questions?
I just want to say thank you for your commitment to this work. It's awesome.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing. I mean, every year you come, and sometimes more than one year, and you say what you're going to do. And from what I can track, you do a lot of what you say you're going to do. And, I applaud you, your dedication, your knowledge. You do a very good job. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
A question I have is, what can the board do to support the work that you're doing? I mean, I know like co-teaching for me, I mean, I've seen it firsthand. I've heard about it as a board member. It's so impactful for the students in that classroom. So I'm always thinking about what can the board do to help you do your job?
Thank you. I think sort of two things. I think one, continue to support the creative vision and the unique shifts and changes that we make year to year, like adding the risk assessment position and looking at using our resources different in some of those ways to really trust that we're making decisions based on student needs. And I think the other is just patience. I think I try really hard to deliver, and there's right today, 586 students and 117 staff in the department, right? It's a big department with a lot of resources. So just sort of patience if we don't quite meet some of I don't think we're going as quickly as I would like to go, I guess, right? I think we've made some huge moves in the area of really supporting all of our learners, and I think we have a long way to go, and just really being patient and supportive as we do that work.
You talked about the learning labs, and I do want to echo that. If you have any time to walk through or get a guided tour of that, I hadn't seen anything like that because it doesn't jump out from a presentation. But that experience of walking into the room and the way that it was divided into different areas, and it was real heads down, engaging work that people were doing, and again, not what people expect.
Right.
And I thought that was great. I love that the Cromwell video, created by a member of our community, Marnie Dean, did the work on that, and they do all that spectacular work with 1.5 staff members, which is just shocking. The reach that they're able to do. It's a wonderful organization. So
It is, absolutely.
I'd just like to thank Julie. She lifts a tremendous amount of projects in the district for special education, 504 and beyond. She does a lot of work. I always joke that she's never in her office because she's always at a school or at a meeting or somewhere trying to move something else forward. So just want to thank her for all of her really hard and dedicated work, and especially around pre-K. She's really been a huge leader in the pre-K area, so we really appreciate that.
Thanks, Jeff.
I know for me personally, I'm really excited to see what can we improve about the non-categorical and the special ed process with adding the pre-K, and I definitely think that your team will be the people to do that, and I think the services those students are going to get is really going to be exceptional. So yes, I'm excited about that as well.
Me too. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Julie.
Thank you.
All right, so now we're going to have our superintendent's report.
Well, we are almost at the end of the school year. Tomorrow is our last day of school, as most of you know. And so we've had a lot of events going on in the last week or so. Barbecues and ACES Day, which is an activity where students are exercising simultaneously outside for different activities. There's been just a lot of outdoor activities for students. The weather's been cooperating, so it's been a really positive end to the school year. As Julie mentioned, pre-K, we held our pre-K lottery this morning. And so we have selected all of our students through the lottery system. We are now in the process of notifying parents. We started that process today, and we'll be continuing tomorrow to notify parents whose children have been selected for the program. Obviously, we have more students than we have slots for children, which is a good sign, I guess. We have a lot of people who are interested. We'll be keeping you apprised of that. I'd like to thank the community for passing the MSAD51 budget last week at 73% support. We just want to thank everyone in the community for continuing to support our schools. Once a week for the past 2 months, we've had 2 students who have been working on their math skills through a partnership with Abbott Farm, and they are building a farm stand for the owners to sell products. This project-based hands-on learning project has been a great experience for everyone, and we want to thank Mr. Wood and Mr. Westhoven at the high school for organizing this incredible learning opportunity for our students. This is part of the ELO experience that we provide students, but also students who have special needs and need to learn in a different way. Our functional life skills students visited Gray Wildlife Park, and over the last month or so, students in the middle school 4-8 life skills program have been researching Maine and the animals that live here, and they completed their unit by visiting the Animal Wildlife Park, where they had a scavenger hunt and were able to see the animals that they've been studying. And 34 middle school 6-8 students from the Outing Club, Civil Rights Team, Student Council, and the Green Team all volunteered at the Scatter Good Farm on June 3rd in Brunswick. Scatter Good is a volunteer-based farm that grows organic fruits and vegetables, and they donate all of their food to the food banks and pantries in the area. So I want to thank all of our students for planting seeds, weeding, filling sandbags. Also thank you to Mr. Treadwell and Mrs. Goodwin at the middle school for organizing this trip. National History Day, once again, we are having a tremendous year. We had 10 students from GMS who went to DC and won first or second place at the state competition, and went last week to participate in the national competition. Connor Albert, Christopher Gilbert, Grace Belanger, Lucy Noonan, Teddy Conway, Brody Gifford, Andrew Flanders, Alexander Wharton, Henry Hale, and Eva Levin headed to DC for the History Day competition. And while they were there, Lucy Noonan and Grace Belanger won the African American History Prize at the national level. They also placed 4th in the country in their category called their junior website, which can be viewed on my blog starting tomorrow. The Habitat for Humanity check donation, Mrs. Waterhouse, Mrs. MacArthur, and all of our grades 4-5 students raised more than $110 each, and were presented a check to the representatives for the Habitat for Humanity it was last week, and they walked the walk about a month ago. And they walked, I want to say it was 3 or 4 miles, all told. I went out and lasted about a mile when I was out there. They did a good job. They just kept going. Science Day at GMS 4-5, and one activity during the 5th grade Science Day, students learned about pendulums in weight and length. In terms of science, the 8th grade science students today had a science fair and were able to present all of their projects as well. So we've had a lot of science projects going on in the district recently. I'd like to thank the Cumberland Police Department, Cumberland Fire Department, North Yarmouth Fire Department, and State Police who visited with special needs students a couple weeks ago to show them vehicles and equipment in a very relaxed environment. This is actually, I believe, the 3rd year that we have had this event. Kristen Marks is the organizer for that event, and we really wish to thank her for her work on that. And finally, Ashley mentioned the Employee of the Year for 2019. We had 5 finalists, and Eliza Miller, who's an ed tech at the high school, is our Employee of the Year for 2019. She is a wonderful person who's involved in so many different things well beyond the classroom, including running the athletic advisory committee. But the more I get to know Eliza, I realize she's just involved in so many aspects of the community, whether it's the soccer program or whatever. She's doing something, and she's very involved. And she's been an ed tech with us for many, many years, and the students just love her. I'd finally like to say congratulations go to Harrison Holmes, who recently earned his Eagle Scout, a huge accomplishment in the Scout world. Girls tennis finished their season as the Class B South runner-up. Congratulations. The boys lacrosse team took home the Class B state runner-up. The Rangers outdoor track team turns double play. Both the girls and boys teams both earned Class B state sportsmanship awards. So I'd like to congratulate all of them. I could go on and on. I could give you days of just wonderful things going on in the district, but I'll stop there. And my blog will be posted this week.
Thank you. I don't believe we have any public comment. So we will move on to committee reports if we have any. I know we're kind of winding down for the year, so don't feel bad if you don't have a committee report. We'll start with finance. Mike?
Sure. As Jeff mentioned, the budget passed by a rather comfortable margin, so thank you all. And thank you all to the committee members who worked so hard on that budget. Later this evening, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. You're going to be voting on the transferring of funds between cost centers. More on that in a little bit. But other than that, finance is over and out till next fall.
Thank you. Kevin, policy.
Thanks, Kate. So we haven't had a meeting since we got together last. What we will be talking about in mere moments will be the first reading of a policy that is going to align a few dates in the superintendent's contract to really be more similar to what happens with other districts, but also to provide feedback at the right time.
Tyler, anything with curriculum?
Sally and I met, I think it was this week. No, sorry, it was last week. Today's Monday. Just to talk about the fact that she'll be shifting over to the Wilson School and talking about, what the committee will look like next year. So more to come on that later.
Scott, anything with negotiations?
Nope.
Okay. Facilities, Mike or Gigi?
Facilities actually yielded their meeting date to finance, so facilities has not met since we last came together. But sort of just like at my house, we've gathered together a list of should do or could do items, and now we had to consult with finance or the budget. And so hopefully we're going to get a chance later this evening to address some of our deferred maintenance issues and opportunities for improvement.
Can I take departing member grab the stage for half a second? Because I got to thank Scott. As a just really quick. I mean, he from the moment I started on the board, I was with finance, and when we need something to get done from a finance or facilities standpoint, he makes things he makes the numbers work, and you listen to us, and I mean, it is, and your vision and your long range plan for always sort of steering us from the facilities and finance standpoint, and you give us our viewpoint, but once we say we want to do something, you help us do it, and I'm going to miss very much working with you. You were my first stop, and so I just wanted, as one of my last stops, to say thanks very much, and I'm sorry to speak out of turn, but I just wanted to make sure you knew that. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Gigi.
That's a great facilities update. Tyler, environmental stewardship.
We had our last meeting last week, and we set some goals for the next year, and we have a really strong group of people on that committee. I'm excited to hit the ground running, and we even said we'd set an early September meeting, so.
You guys are awesome.
The trees are still doing really well.
They're blooming.
Actually, they're blooming.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen them, they're in
Yeah. They're actually in
best
great
form
shape.
right now.
Yeah.
Awesome. And seeing no students with us tonight, we will move on to our items for action. So just as a heads up, we can't run off after the meeting. We all have to sign this computation of the election results. So if I could get a motion read as it's written in our agenda, that would be great. And that is to approve the computation and declaration of votes for the June 11th budget validation.
I move to approve the computation and declaration of votes dated June 11th, 2019, and attached here to be approved. It is further voted that the computation and declaration of votes be entered upon the records of Maine School Administrative District Number 51, the district, and that a certified copy of the computation and declaration of votes be sent to each of the municipal clerks within the district.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? You guys making fun of me?
No.
Any discussion? I would just like to say I'm really happy with the election results and hope that we can carry this positive year forward. All right, so all in favor? And next is a vote to amend the district's strategic plan. Jeff presented us last meeting with a presentation of action of whittling down the plan and making it more manageable, as well as a new tool with which the public and teachers and anyone can access and understand the plan better. So I will take discussion, but let's first have a motion to amend the district's strategic plan as presented at the June 3rd, 2019 Board of Directors meeting.
So moved?
Second.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? I'm just gonna say, I think it's gonna make it a little bit more manageable, and hopefully it can, drive a little less time of our administrators and staff, and, have us focus on some, on what's really working for us. So I think it's good to pare it down. All right, so all in favor? Okay. And the next item, we have a lot of items for action tonight, but the next is, I need a motion to appoint Susie Robbins to the position of .8 Acting Director of Academic Services for the 2019-20 school year. This is a one-year only position, and she will be taking over some of Sally Laughlin's responsibilities while Sally is at Mabel I. Wilson. So do I have a second? Or no, I need a motion, sorry.
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion, any questions? All right, all in favor? Okay. And do I need to take a motion for each name individually? I do for
yes.
this one, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I need a motion to appoint Courtney Dowdy.
So moved.
Do you mean to, probably have to read it all, huh?
You'll just take one at a time.
Okay. So that was the motion to appoint Courtney Dowdy to the position of RTI Coordinator at Greeley High School for the 19-20 school year. So I have a motion from Sarah and a second.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? All in favor?
That's going to clarify.
All right, now I need a motion to appoint Liz Rodas to the position of .6 Spanish teacher at Greeley High School for the 19-20 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Second?
Any discussion or questions? All in favor? And now I need a motion to appoint Kenneth Fowler to the position of science teacher at Greeley High School for the 19-20 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? All in favor? And now a motion to appoint Sally Grund to the position of grade 4 teacher at Greeley Middle School 4-5 for the 19-20 school year.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? And now I need a motion to appoint Peter Lloyd to the position of grade 4 teacher at Greeley Middle School 4-5 for the 19-20 school year. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, discussion?
Sorry, Mike.
All in favor?
I'm still in favor.
Okay, moving down the list. Now I need a motion to appoint Katie Dunn to the position of grade 3 teacher at Mabel I. Wilson for the 19-20 school year. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
I'd like you
No,
to
no discussion.
again.
Okay, now I need a motion to appoint Natasha Jordan to the position of pre-K teacher at Mabel I. Wilson School for the 19-20 school year.
So
Do I have
moved.
a- Second.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Thank you, Mike.
And now a motion to appoint Kelly Irving to the position of .5 pre-K special education teacher at Mabel I. Wilson for the 19-20 school year. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion, questions? All in favor? Now I need a motion to appoint Barbara Neff to the position of .5 guidance counselor at Mabel I. Wilson for the 19-20 school year.
So moved.
Second?
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, so that is that list, and now we are going to vote to authorize the superintendent to execute extensions of employment contracts for administrators. So I need a motion for that.
So moved? Oh, do I?
Second?
Second.
Any questions or discussions? Okay, all in favor? All right, so now we're moving on to item F, and we can take these in a more lump sum. So is there anyone that would like to make this motion in its entirety?
Yes, I make a motion that we approve the continuing teacher contracts for 2019-20 as presented.
Do you have to list the names?
Oh, yeah.
I'll
I'm
second.
ready.
All right, all in favor of continuing those contracts?
I was ready for that one.
Gigi. Okay, and now we need to vote to approve probationary teacher contracts for 1920 as listed. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor of approving those? Okay, and so now we're moving on to item H on our agenda, and that has to do with the fiscal year 2018-2019 cost center transfers. Mike, Scott?
Yeah, should I read this one into the record, or?
I think so.
Okay. All right, I'll make a motion that the board authorize the following cost center transfers in the fiscal year 2018-19 budget, provided the total budget shall not be increased by these transfers. The Finance Committee recommends the following transfers. Up to $750,000 from regular instruction to facilities maintenance and reclassify capital reserve expenditures to facilities maintenance. Up to $35,000 from regular instruction to other instruction. Up to $125,000 from special education to transportation and buses. Up to $150,000 from special education to student and staff support. Up to $49,000 from special education to system administration. And lastly, up to $89,000 from regular instruction to other.
So that was the motion, now we
That
need
was
a
the motion.
second. Second?
Second?
Tyler?
Tyler, yeah.
And I do have a question, if
Yep.
you would permit.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's a lot of moving parts here, and what I would think would be helpful is if Scott, I can put you on the spot again to talk about why this is permissible to move money between accounts and what it means, if you would indulge.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. It's actually important that people understand this. So the state recognizes that we're building a budget months and months and months before we even expend it or we even know where we're going to land. So with that, while the budget is passed on a cost center format, 11 cost center format, the state has a provision in state statute to allow you to transfer 5% of any cost center to another cost center. Recognizing that there's things that change throughout the course of the year. There's attrition. We also have our contingency account, which is $438,000, which is in instruction. So that's a big chunk of that. But that's really why it's managing a budget that, quite frankly, is live months before you're even ready to deal with it. Okay.
I really appreciate you explaining that, Scott. You have a way of making it simple for people. Thank you.
I'd also like to say that the Finance Committee spent a lot of time working on this, and, Scott did a fantastic job of seeing, is there a lease we can pay off because this teacher retired? A lot of thought goes into these transfers, and I appreciate your thoughtfulness and your leadership. I think it puts us in a great position next year as our budget becomes tighter. I think it will be good. Are there any other questions? Okay, so all in favor? Thank you. Okay, and we do not have item I now, so I'm going to move right into the, and we don't have it on the agenda because it passed, slightly amended, so the effects of that bill will be seen in the future. Election now of the school board officers for the 2019-2020 school year. Gigi, you had the immeasurable honor of doing the roundabout phone calls and gathering nominations, so if you could just speak to this a little bit.
I've spoken to all of our board members and spoken about leadership and asked for their nominations as to both positions, but as relevant to this particular motion for the chair. And as a result of those discussions, I would, on behalf of all the board members, like to nominate Kate Perrin for the chair of Board of Directors. And I would like to make that motion.
A second?
Do I have to call all in favor still?
Yeah, I can, if there's any discussion, I'm happy to say anything, but otherwise, I guess you can just move to take the motion.
Well, I would like to say thank you to my fellow board members. It's not always it's not a very glamorous job. That is for sure. You made it look a lot easier than I have, Gigi, and that's quite impressive. And I'm sure the person after me will make it look a lot easier than I have. But thank you for your support, and I'm just going to continue to let my integrity be my compass and do the next right thing. So thanks, guys.
Thank you.
So all in favor? And so, yeah.
And likewise, I've spoken to all the board members, and as a result of those discussions, I would like to nominate Tyler McGinley as vice chair of the board of directors, and I guess, and then make that motion accordingly for Tyler to serve as vice chair of our board.
Second.
Any discussion, questions? I would like to say there's, so many strong board members that could fill this role, and I'm happy that Tyler, you're willing to take the time and to do this. It's, like I said, not always glamorous, but it's important that everyone steps up, and I appreciate that you're doing this.
Thank you.
All in favor? All right, so Gigi or Mike Brown, would you guys like to make a motion?
Oh, I would. I would move that we adjourn.
I'll second.
There we go.
All right, all in favor?
Discussion?
If we don't vote?
If we don't vote, can Mike stay?
Can't leave.
All right, thank you both.